Yeah. Hello there. It's your girl Valerie Mason Chase, and I got the Cookie Man with me this evening.
Hey.
Oh, who you, Fat Albert?
I'm Bill Cosby. I don't want to be Bill Cosby.
That's what the introduction to Fat Albert used to start like that. Hey, it's Fat Albert.
I know that.
Yeah, but
how you know? You can have no
some
TV.
people who see it. Excuse me, we did have one television. He always clowning me.
No, I got.
But anywho, welcome to Marriage Beyond the Breach, and we have a fantabulous conversation that we are going to have this evening. So, honey, what are we talking about?
Monogamy, something like that, right?
Oh my God! He don't be paying attention,
I
y'all.
just show up.
He doesn't.
Yes,
pay
I do.
attention.
Yes, I do.
Well,
what she think I do when I pay attention?
Sometimes he might pay attention. Anyway, I'm happy to see you all who are here on this evening. Those who may be here live or those who may watch at a later time. So I want to first begin by having our awesome guests tonight introduce themselves. And I'm gonna start. I don't know how you guys are seeing it on your screen. From my screen, I'm gonna go clockwise. I'm gonna start with Alvin.
We lost somebody.
No, we didn't lose anything. Okay. It just something else just opened up. I just have to get back over here.
Let's start with Nicole.
Ladies first.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies first.
All right, there I am. Okay. All right, Nicole, we'll start with you. Introduce yourself.
You just did.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole Brown Young. I'm a registered nurse, good friend of Val, and I'm so happy to be here tonight.
Anything else you want to tell about yourself?
Let me see. I'm looking forward to this very interesting topic and learning a lot tonight.
All right, Jack.
Well, sis made it. Okay.
Hello. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So I am Jackie Lawrence. I am the baby sister of Valerie Mason Chase. I'm literally just walked in. I spent the weekend with 3 of my grandchildren. I surprised my granddaughters and took them to see The Lion King on Broadway yesterday. We had a great time. I spent about 3 hours playing Monopoly today. So I'm a little tired, but here I am looking forward to tonight's topic. Hey, Rock. Hey, Toya. Hey, Nikki. Hey, Alvin. Hey, my brother-in-law.
All right. Thank you, sis. Okay, Rock and Toya, you guys are up.
I don't think we can hear them.
Oh, can't hear you, baby.
They on mute.
Wait, hold on. Let me
Got it. Got it.
Can you hear me? I think that was a setup for the topic. So my name is Rock, and I'm Monopoly. I'll be monogamous. Yeah.
You know what? Oh, goodness. Hi, I'm Toya Davis, and I am the owner of Yumdacity, catering company of really, really good food, and Webpo Designs, a digital branding company. And I am also monogamous. That's what,
She got us in Monopoly.
that's what I should have said. I should have said monogamous.
Oh man. All right. My name is Alvin Smith. I am a LAMFTCCADC drug and alcohol mentor. Run 2 mentoring programs. I'm a life coach, minister. Just call me the garbage man. Anything I can find to do to help the people, that's what I'm gonna do. No matter how dirty it is, I'm gonna try to get my hands in it.
I hear that.
Yes.
Can you break down what lamb feet Cadillac? That's what I see. Can you break that down?
Yes, I'm a marriage licensed associate, marriage and family therapist. CCADC is drug and alcohol. I have a license in that, as you know what mentor is, and you do know what life coach is. But I do it all. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while now, so this is my passion. Retired, military, retired. Corrections, yes. Yep.
You know, Alvin, it's funny with Rock asking that question, because I remember when I was in school, in one of our classes, we spent the whole day just going through what all these initials mean, because there's a whole lot of them, and some of them I still don't know what they all stand for.
I don't even try to understand.
But anywho, our topic tonight is this: is monogamy a myth? And I started thinking about that because actually there is a book entitled The Monogamy Myth. And even though that's the title of the book, it doesn't support monogamy. I mean, I'm sorry, it doesn't support the alternatives to monogamy. It's a book really about infidelity. But when I saw the title of the book, that got me to thinking, and I wanted to have a conversation about monogamy. Hey, Vanessa, thank you for watching. And anyone who's watching, we would like to be as interactive as possible. If you have any questions, you want to put it in the chat. If you have any comments that you want to make, put it in the chat. What's been your experience with alternatives to monogamy? Hey, Miss Ollie, good to see you. And anyone who may be watching now or later, if you haven't already done so, I would appreciate if you would subscribe to the YouTube channel, Marriage Beyond the Breach, and you could also find Marriage Beyond the Breach on YouTube and Facebook. So I always like to start with definitions and meanings and how people understand different terms, because 5 people can define the same word in different ways. So I want to know, from your perspective, how do you define monogamy? And anyone can respond.
Not all at once.
All right, so monogamy. I want to say exclusivity. I like monogamy because I don't like confusion, or I don't like disorganization. So it allows me to be more focused. If I could focus on one person, I know how to build something, from nothing, because it's a lot easier to focus on that one person. So monogamy for me, especially going into marriage, it was important. We've been running the street for so many years. I made a conscious decision and a godly decision that when I got married, that I definitely wanted one person. One person I can build with. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well,
anybody else? How do you define?
Well,
I was going. Oh, go ahead. Go
ahead.
Go ahead.
It's fine.
No, you can go follow after your husband. Go ahead.
Monogamy to me means, being, like he said, exclusive with one another and not sharing any parts of your emotional, physical with someone else. So that means emotionally, you're not going out and, you know, sharing your thoughts with someone else, you know, sex-wise, everything. That means just one person. And that's a choice for me because I don't like to share. I don't want to share him. I think what we have is amazing. And like he said, I just think it brings confusion when you have, you know, so many thoughts and things like that. And I honestly think that when you do have a situation like that, it gets chaotic. And I'd rather not have that in, you know, life.
Go ahead,
that's
Alvin.
one of the things, yeah, that was one of the things I was going to say. Because it's sexual and emotional, and to keep the confusion down, it's like for most people, it's hard to do it with multiple persons, depending on the people. But but if you want to keep your relationship intact, it's easier to do it with just you and your partner versus you and multiple partners.
Okay. Jackie or Nick, do you have anything you want to add?
When you first posed the question, I just thought it's an intimate, often sexual relationship with one other person and one other person only. And hopefully you both agree. Because some people think they're monogamous and the other person didn't agree to it. So hopefully it's agreed upon.
Yeah, there you go.
Often sexual relationship with one other person.
Yeah.
If I could just add, does that apply? That obviously if you're married, but how do you apply that if you're single?
Because if the two of you, and agreement is a key word that Nicole just used. If you agree that you are in a committed monogamous relationship, because you could be committed and not monogamous,
right? And
you could be monogamous and not committed. Okay. So, at least from my perspective, if the two agree that you're going, that's what your relationship is going to look like, then that's the agreement. But just like Nicole said, it could be one-sided, or you may be at a place where you haven't had that conversation yet. So if you haven't had the conversation, is that the expectation?
All right. But it can't be the expectation if you didn't have the conversation.
But unfortunately, a lot of people do have that expectation even without the conversation.
Can you be single and monogamous?
Huh?
Can you be single and monogamous?
And monogamous. Yep, you can be. Because monogamous just means you with just this one individual. So you could be single. You guys have not gotten married yet, but the two of you talked about it, and we decide it's just going to be the two of us. I'm not seeing anyone else. You're not seeing anyone else. We're committed to each other, and now we are in a committed monogamous relationship. But we're both single. See, let me just say this.
Yeah, I'm confused.
I'm old school because for me, single means you're not married yet. I know a lot of people nowadays, if they're in a relationship, they consider themselves not single. I don't look at it that way, but again, that's just me.
What about modern terms? Like, I'm a single person who is a single person to me who is exclusive with someone. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
It's
a relationship, but see, your auntie here,
still single.
And the baby boomer generation, we consider that person still single, even though they are in a relationship. Because us boomers, if you ain't married, you're single.
Right.
But you could still be in a committed relationship and be single. At least that's the baby boomer version.
It falls back to you both could be single in a relationship, but you have to have that conversation. Yes. We are going to be single people in this relationship practicing monogamy.
Yes.
See, in my generation, which I'm Generation X, if I say I'm single, that means I can. You have single, Like you can single go out with somebody, but
right.
you can't single have sex with somebody else because that person's like, no, we monogamous. Like I'm gonna only have sex with you. You're gonna only have sex with me.
But we can see other people.
But we can see other people.
Right, right.
But see that.
But that's not a relationship.
Why?
No, you're not in a committed relationship because you could be monogamous and not committed, and you could also be committed and not monogamous.
Right. But I think one of the key factors, Toya used the word emotional. See, a lot of times when people think about monogamous relationships, they focus on the physical, right? You can be physical with just one person, but emotionally invested or in an emotional relationship with others. Yeah. And I think sometimes that's where the lines get crossed.
Yeah, because I think nowadays it's almost a given. If you're dating or seeing someone, you're having sex. Most people are having sex. They're going to be engaging in sexual intimacy in some level. But one of my spiritual fathers, Bishop John Edmondson, when he talks about going through that courting phase, that dating phase, he encourages dating more than one person. But see, you've got to look at it as just dating. Dating doesn't mean you sleeping with the person. Doesn't mean you're having sex with the person. You're dating multiple people because you are going out on dates. Because dating is essentially a time of interviewing. Like, you know how you interview for a job? You're interviewing individuals, potentials for engaging in a serious relationship with. Am I getting this right, Nicole? Because that's Nicole's pastor, but he's my spiritual daddy. Am I getting that right, Nicole? That's what Bishop John says, right?
Yes, and your pastor, PD, and Shamika say it's data collection. When you're dating, you're collecting data on the person.
Collecting data, right. So maybe that's why I look at it differently, single versus married. But John said, that's a good point. They're single in a legal sense, and I guess that's the way I'm looking at it. And then they're single in the relationship sense.
But the problem is how many people collecting that data, and just that data, and not delving further.
Well,
that's where everything gets blurred.
It does, but however, that's where people. Hey, Dr. Danita. Hey, John. Hey, Elder. That's where people have to have a certain maturity level in order to do that.
I think when I hear the word monogamy, the first thought that comes to me is marriage. I don't think of the word. I don't think of that word when it comes to boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't know why. And when I think of polygamy, I think, okay, he's married or she's married to multiple people. I don't think, they're seeing multiple people. Automatically, when I see that word or hear that word, I'm automatically thinking of marriage. So that's how I think of monogamy. I don't think of it in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
But before you and Rock got married, you guys were monogamous, even prior to marriage. You were just with each other, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I only want to see her.
Yes. I mean, I would have called that like exclusive. You know, but
that's exclusive.
Yes, I would consider that exclusive. You know what I mean? Like we are exclusively dating and seeing each other.
She wasn't single. She was exclusively with me.
Listen, Doc, you wanted to make that real clear. She ain't single, right?
She ain't single.
That's exclusive.
She's off the market. Val, something you said when we talked about that dating thing, and more when the people out there dating, collecting data.
Right.
You said it takes a certain level of maturity to avoid the sexual aspect of it. But
and
percentage-wise, we fall short. Because when you're talking about dating people of 20, 21, 22, 23, the maturity level is not there. While I'm dating at 20,
50, Uncle Frank.
I'm
not saying it's not there. I said it weighs heavily on the other side that people out there dating and having sex, period.
Okay, but that is a choice they are making.
Sure, I get that.
But I'm talking about the individuals who make that decision. I'm not engaging in sexual intimacy, but I'm collecting data or I'm dating different individuals because I'm interviewing. Who do I want to be in a relationship with? And not for nothing, that could be the best way to go for certain individuals.
Sure.
Other than you date this this person for 6 months and y'all having sex, it don't work out. Then you date the next one for 10 months or 12 months and it don't work out and y'all are having sex, and then you go to the next one. So it depends on the person and the choices that they want to make for themselves. But Toya brought up one of the terms, and I wanted to talk about the different types of non-monogamous relationships. And so share your understanding with me in terms of what are some of
there are so many now.
All the
Polyamorous, polygamy,
poly cracker, poly.
No, stop it.
It's so, what it is for me, it's so many different versions of the same thing. It's kind of like they take this, take something and they flip it into what they want to
be for them.
And they call it a poly whatever. So again, to me, it's just another form of breeding confusion.
Yeah.
Just to say that you want to be with everybody else while you're with someone
else. Yeah, got it. So I'm sorry, your brother Lou couldn't be on here this evening. He called me. He forgot about a previous commitment. He said at some point he may be able to chime in, and that's why I wanted him to talk about, because he engages in polyamory. But like you, for me, it does. I think it causes confusion, but I think that there are some people who, at least from their perspective, do it successfely. And I think it depends on how they're defining success.
Yeah, it is a rarity. It is a very rare situation because emotions are involved. So a lot of times when people sexually get into relationships with people, somehow the emotions are provoked. And so what happens is that, sometimes mostly it's the women, but now lately a lot of times it's men. Men get, they get with these women and they want them to be exclusive, but they wanted to be able to do other things. Yeah. And so a lot of times it's a big permission thing when you get into poly, whatever. When you get into those, is really the woman. The woman takes control. She's the one who sets the tone. And when she says, you can have fun, you can have fun, meaning, and it's different versions of that.
Right.
She could say, you can go out and just make sure you don't have no baby with another woman, or you may be able to bring a woman home and then you both can have fun with her. That's another poly something. And then, but it's just different versions of breeding confusion.
And one thing which, to me, it's almost sometimes a power kind of issue, because a lot of times in these relationships, it's only one person who can play and have fun and have multiple partners, but the other person cannot. It's not an open relationship. Usually in these poly situations, it's one person who has the multiple and the other person can't have the multiples like that.
Yeah. And it's usually the man who has the multiples. It's usually the man. Yeah. I mean, there are relationships where that are polyandry, and that's where a woman is married to more than one man. But I think polyandry occurs a lot less frequently than polygamy, which typically has the man with multiple.
A lot of women want sister wives.
That's what they call them.
Yeah, a lot of women want sister wives, and they don't mind because they want the best of both worlds. So you have that as well.
Yeah, but do you really have the best of both worlds if you got sister wives and all y'all married to this man, and he's got all of y'all, and y'all only have part of him.
Well, they don't see. Well, that's the thing. They don't see it that way. They see it exclusive. They see it as I have a full version of him, and I have a full version of her, from a woman's aspect, right?
Yeah.
And then from his aspect is I have her and I have her, and then women look at each other like we have each other. So
have
it's
each
like,
other.
It's like one big thing.
Well, sometimes happy family, but it don't always work out.
No.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple work out. I've seen a couple work out, and but everything is not for everybody, and I think that's the thing, that a lot of times people see something that they believe might work for them, but if you don't know how to handle it, it won't.
Right. Yeah. And that's something that takes a whole lot of emotional intelligence and emotional security. If you're going to be in one of those types of basically sharing relationships. So I want to ask, what about this? Because we know they're monogamous and they're non-monogamous relationships, and sometimes there's an agreement for non-monogamy, and sometimes the person is in a non-monogamous relationship and they don't know that they are, because their partner's not being monogamous.
But that part is true. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, because I was having some technical difficulties with my computer, so I had to switch over. But just what you was just saying about that, because if y'all don't talk about what it is that y'all want in a relationship, then how are you going to define what the relationship is? Because one of the other partners could be thinking one way, and so when they get into the relationship, even though y'all going to be exclusive, and that's going back to something that y'all was talking about earlier. What I was looking up, they was talking about monogamism, which is totally different. Which is, you can be an exclusive, however, but the partner like, hey, I might get bored, so I might want me a partner on the side, just to to keep everything. But so y'all, one or the other might bring the other person in, and it start off fine. But if y'all not strong in your spot, because emotions still gonna enter into the relationship one way or the other, and and then if the partner goes ahead and becomes emotionally connected, now you're on the sideline, and your partner's having these feelings for this other person.
Yeah.
Now it upsets the household, because it's like, now I thought it was just me and you, but one of y'all brought another person into the relationship, and it breaks up the atmosphere.
I get it. So I want to ask Jackie and Nicole. I know Nicole looks like she's having tech difficulties also, which is not surprising because it's raining like crazy over here. And I know New York had a lot of rain too. Jackie and Nicole, would either of you ever consider being in a non-monogamous relationship or non-exclusive relationship? Either one?
No.
Yeah, at this stage in my life, no, because I've been married. I was married for 16 years. I had a relationship that resulted in my last child. That lasted for a few years, and I get jealous very easily. I feel like I'm the best actress. I don't need a supporting cast. So no, I don't. I can handle you and take care of you. You don't need an old girl. You just don't. If you need a girl, I get jealous easily. I do. I can take care of my man. I can. I don't need no help.
That. You don't need no help. There you go, sis.
You've been married for 16 years. You don't want no fun?
It's called role play. It's called, listen, I can be more than one woman. Okay, you don't need nobody else. I don't like Toya said, I do not like to share. If we need to spice it up, we can spice it up. I can put on a blonde wig, a red wig.
There you go.
A brown wig. We can make it work. Me and him only.
There you go. There you go.
And I don't
So
need the
speaking about
confusion. It's confusing. I don't need that confusion.
confusion,
Davidson said it correctly. Y'all don't need that confusion. Y'all don't have that confusion. That's what I'm looking for. I need a mate. I want to be his helpmate, and we don't need no confusion.
I'm with you, Nicole, and I'm with you, Jackie. So I don't know about Rock and Toya or Alvin. Have any of you ever been in a non-monogamous relationship? With,
not knowing.
Not on purpose, right?
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose.
I don't ever want to share. That's just me. Because honestly, you have to have enough time and energy for me, and I don't want to hear I don't have it, I can't do it, I don't want to hear it. So you can't make it. You can't make a birthday. You can't make a something because you have to split your time, and you got to try to make the other one feel important too. And I'm not sharing your emotion. I'm not sharing your time. I'm not sharing any part of you. No.
Yeah. I get that. You know, a couple of you guys mentioned jealousy, and I think it was last year. It might have been the year before. I don't remember when we had someone on to talk about polyamory. Okay. And because I was assuming that people engaged in polyamory didn't experience jealousy, but you said it happens a lot. And that's when the couple or the throuple or the quadruple or whatever it is have to sit down and have a whole conversation. And I found that surprising because I didn't think you could be someone who experiences jealousy and still be in a polyamorous or a polygamous relationship. I found that to be very surprising.
It's an emotional attachment, right?
Exactly.
So a lot of times when the person, they connect with that one person, and like I said, is by choice. They allow, let's just say a woman allows her man to go out and have fun. But the thing is, that's why I said the woman a lot of times is the orchestrator in a sense, right? And she sets the tone, she sets rules, and because the rules really cover her emotionally. So she may be completely okay with her man going out having sex with another woman because it doesn't affect her. But now if he goes outside of her rules and break them, that if she goes outside of her rules and he breaks those rules, it can affect her emotionally. So yeah, I've seen that happen many a time.
But that requires a high level of trust that your partner is going to be able to go out, engage in sexual intercourse with someone, not catch feelings, and wear a condom, because you don't want him to go raw dog with these persons that he's out there with either, right?
That's right.
No, so again, that's like I said, the rules, right? Because you'd be very surprised. A lot of women don't have a problem with the dude going raw dog, but she feels like, don't bring no baby home. Wow. You'll be very surprised. That's why I said it's very weird. It's a very again, a lot of times it's embedded in confusion. So a lot of times they'll create these things that because the margin is pushed. The margin is pushed over the barrier. That if the woman is already allowing this man to go out and have sex with other women, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a couple of times where he's not going to use protection. You know what I'm saying? So she has to create barriers to cover herself, and a lot of times men will fall in love with the jump off, and that's where the jealousy comes in.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, no matter what kind of rules you set up, parameters, rules, whatever you call them, we're all flesh and blood. Emotion is going to kick in somewhere along the line. Even though you set the rules, you could do this, and I know you're this, I know you got a wife, I know you got kids. Eventually, emotion kicks in and we fall to it, and then you got the jealousy and all kind of erratic behavior and everything else is confusion, as you described it. All kind of hell breaks loose.
And if you're raw dogging, there's a possibility. Listen, one of the natural consequences of unprotected sex is pregnancy. So for a guy to do
that, bring her some form of disease.
Right.
Yeah.
But the ego, let me speak on the ego, because I don't care who you are, especially for a man, egos do kick in. And you know, you're saying for that the woman is the orchestrator, but sometimes it's the man, because you know this 2024 and this, you know, what we see is like where they quid pro quo. It's like, yo, I did it for you, you want to do it for me. But then again, emotions kick in and egos kick in, because you know, the woman might like it more from another gentleman, man, per se, and now he upset because, you know, the woman is like, you know, having fun, and now the man is questioning, like, oh, was he better than me? Is he, you know what I mean? Is he doing things better than me? What do I need to do? And it's like emotions, our emotional intelligence plays a vital part in relationships. And it's like, yo, again, it goes back to trust. And trust can easily be broken. And if we're not careful, it's like, it's 9 times out of 10, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah. And, you know, I want to address something that Rock said about the woman being the orchestrator and all that. I think that's part of the man's manipulation to make the woman think that she's really the orchestrator, because how much is she really in control if she's sitting there at home, or they're all there together while he has multiple partners?
Yeah, but
how much?
It's not a manipulation, right? Because you have a man who can be with a woman and really truly love her and respect her, and so he relinquishes his respect in letting her run the show. And what happens is, again, she sets the tone, she sets the rules, and so if he's committed to her, he will follow her. You know what I'm saying? Like Brother Luke, my brother Luke. You know what I mean? When his wife
used the key word.
When his wife
relinquish.
Yeah. When his wife,
respect is a big word, though.
It is very big, and you know,
because respect goes a long way.
Also big in action. So the thing is, like I said, when she sets the tone, Lou will tell you, whatever my wife say, it goes. Because emotionally, he's tied to her.
Right.
When it comes to the other women, they don't care about the other women.
So does she decide to get final say on who the other partner is going to be?
But they have to agree. They have to agree. If she don't like the girl and she say no, it's a no. And he won't give it a second thought.
But does he still respect her?
Respect who? Her?
Yeah.
Of course. She sets the tone. She says, if she says no, I don't like her, he's like, okay, we getting rid of her. That's how they think.
Okay. So that's the nucleus. That's the primary relationship, and anything else just kind of springs off from that. So that's kind of different than
that goes back to monogamism.
Monogamism.
Yeah.
Monopoly. That's the word we gotta use.
Monogamous.
But that's what it goes back to. But that's what
it might be a monogamous.
Right. You got a new word.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because you know that I watched this show seeking sister wife, and there's one guy on there. I call him the little Mac Daddy. Okay, he looks like he's probably 5 foot nothing, and he's got 3 wives. They all work. He don't work. He stays home.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
See, that's that
and
is
the little Mac Daddy.
That is called a pimp.
Thank you. I was going to say that. I'm glad you said that before me.
Because
that's all that is.
Yeah,
that's all that is. That's just pimping.
A lot of times,
and pimping ain't easy.
It ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll be very surprised. Like a lot of dudes who may not be sound, like, you know, attractive to the world or the public.
Yeah,
got game. They got game, and they know how to talk their way into what they want to get. It's a very big rarity.
I look at that little Mac Daddy. I said, "Go ahead with your bad self." Got these 3 women working, and he's staying home. But one thing well, at least what they portray on the show is that, like you indicated, when they were considering bringing a 4th wife in, and the 3 had to agree on whomever this other one was, because he was feeling one woman, and the 3 wives said no, and reluctantly he gave up on it. Listen, he got 3 already, and they taking care of him.
You see, like I said, the same situation. He had to go to go to them. They had to agree, and if they don't agree, guess what? It's a no-go, and he has to be completely okay with it. Yeah. So that's the structure that they create for themselves.
So I'm wondering about, especially for you guys who are here, how much does your faith tradition play in your view on polyamory or polygamy? I want to ask Jackie, because Jackie's been quiet for a while. Uncharacteristically so.
Uncharacteristically, yes. That speaks to me being really tired. As far as my faith, I believe that it's one partner with one partner, and that's it. Not to change or go in a different direction, but you know, all of the controversy that goes on with man and woman, or same-sex marriages. You love who you love, right? And we are not here to judge whether it's wrong, right, or indifferent. It's about the commitment, for me, from my faith, that God talks about, right? He says to love your wife, and however that dynamic is in someone's relationship, as God loves the church. And so for me, as far as faith, that's it. If I'm in a relationship, if I am married or a committed relationship, it's that one person. Have I strayed from that? Yes, I have. And I know what the consequences of that was. So if I were to get into a relationship now, only Christ himself would make that happen. But anyway, if I were to get into a relationship now, it would be with that one individual, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, because that's, for me, that's what I believe for my faith. Everybody has their own journey, but that's mine.
Okay.
What about, how would you address this? And this is for anyone who wants to answer. I know this wasn't a question that I had thought about asking, but what about those who use some of the Old Testament biblical characters as in support of polygamy?
Well, this is what I would say. Let me put on my other hat. When I look at the scriptures from the Old Testament, and Adam and Eve, it was set up where one man, one wife, right? Since the fall, you know, they had their and brother, sister, it didn't matter. And even with David, you see what happened with David. When I look at the scriptures, and I look at the mental health of a lot of them that had to go. Like the ones that had multiple wives, it was like David was jacked up.
Yeah.
They were all jacked up because, like, where was David's mama? You know, and in his mental capacity, like, he was depressed. And then you see what happened with his own family. And you know, his own son wanted to go ahead and just, like, you know, take over the throne from his father. So you know, David had to always keep going back and repenting and everything like that. It was so, to me, we see it there, and that's why God was like, look, it needs to be just one man, one wife. And it didn't happen up until the New Testament where he spoke about it, and they, you know, as the Christian church came to play, then they started talking about, like, yeah, a man should have just one man, one wife, following God and his precepts. So it wasn't approved by God. It was just in man's heart that this is what we need to do. And just like generational curse from slavery, because look, the slave master had us just like going to different women. So they kind of like taught us, like, hey, it's okay for you to be with more than one wife. Yo, your job is just go ahead and make babies. Go ahead and make babies. It's okay. And from that time now, we're still doing that. We think it's okay. But guys, he's like, that's not his purpose. That was never his intention. So we have to understand that. So for me, it's like I do understand it. I have not been perfect, but I understand it now. It's like, yo, I have one wife, and that's it. Better, you know, health, whatever, and, you know, till death do us part. That's what I follow.
Yeah. And just like Dr. Zena made a point up there, just because it happened doesn't mean that God approved it. And that's something that you just said, Alvin, also. Because that's interesting, because some people do utilize that. They look at the Old Testament and say, well, this one had multiple wives and this one had multiple wives. But like you said, a lot of those families were really,
look at the repercussions,
chaotic and jacked up.
And Noah
his
had
repercussions.
one wife. So when they say that to me, I said Noah had one wife, and look what he did. He built the ark and survived. Moses had one wife. So we can find those, and they, you know, I mean, we're not going to use, what's the one that had the married Gomer? We don't want to use him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I use Moses, Noah, and Adam. It seems like they did great things, you know, with just one wife. There was very little confusion.
Absolutely. So what do you think? What do you think the increase in dating apps, and especially on social media, what impact or do you think that has had on people's perceptions about monogamy and also the practice of monogamy?
According to my friends, they say that the dating pool has pee in it.
What, pee?
Wow.
I hear that over and
Good
over.
terminology.
You know,
but it's it's septic.
I don't know. Young men today are not efficient in manhood.
And women are not in women.
Yeah, like a lot of, you know, not for nothing, a lot of men these days have been raised by women. So you have a lot of men walking around with women traits. And they don't know.
Women walking around with man traits, being very masculine energy, having masculine energy.
Yeah, they have a masculine energy, but they believe that their actions create manogamy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the problem is that I don't think a lot of these men know how to lead. The structure of monogamy has allowed a lot of women to just question being in relationships. I see it all the time. Like, these they want, they just want little things and simple things, conversation, take me out on a date. And then you have men who are like, I don't want to take you on a date. We should go Dutch on the first date for coffee. I'm like, Dutch?
Or go straight to your house.
At the end of the night, they want box. How does that work?
Yeah.
That's why I say there's a lot of things going on, and I'm glad I'm married.
Well,
me too, brother.
The advent, unfortunately, when we had homes that were structured properly, that was an educational thing. People could learn, young kids can learn, girls and boys become better, women and men. The advent of social media has torn that away, because now for kids growing up, what they see is they're learning to in the house, and they're seeing all this raunchy behavior, and they feel this is how it's supposed to be. So the advent of social media, I think, is a destructive tool to some regard, well, to relationships as a whole, because people are feeding, especially young kids, are feeding off of social media.
It's more than just social media,
I honestly
though.
think we give social media too much credit.
Yeah, it's more than social media. I mean, you hear it. I mean, the social media, it's apps. You hear it in songs. TV shows. It's everywhere where you don't see monogamy. You don't see it. It's like monogamy. I said it correctly.
But it's also choices, right?
Yeah.
When I was growing up, a lot of people would say, I didn't have my dad, so that's why I do this with my son. But at what point do you make choices to be better than, right?
Exactly.
If you didn't see good relationships, at what point do you say, you know what? I didn't see good relationships, but now I want to create one.
And that's my experience, because I didn't see any great relationships growing up. Like, no, I have 5 aunts and an uncle. My mom, I didn't see any great relationships. And the relationships that I did see, they weren't monogamous. They were just kind of everywhere. And I said to myself, I don't want that.
Right.
Like, if I have that, if that's what I have to have, I don't want anything. Like, I don't want it. But my faith did make me, I knew like I would find him. Like, I just had to wait, because I was in that dating pool with the P in it, and I was like, okay, no, you have to say no. And I think a lot of times there are women who don't say no because they just want a man or they just want a husband, and they just want to be in a relationship. So men are like, oh, she accepted it, so I'm gonna do it to her, and I'm gonna do it to her. So
or even I mean, I guess it's safe to say that you guys know my parents got divorced after 20 years. And the thing is, I've seen the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, the whole, but I don't have to emulate their relationship.
That part.
That was their relationship.
Right.
That was their relationship.
We create ours to the point we don't fight, we don't argue, we do communicate, we do things together and don't do things together. We have created our marriage, our exclusivity. So a lot of times, again, sometimes we have these scapegoats that because of the things that we see, we emulate. It's a choice.
Yeah.
But let me touch on that real quick.
Go ahead, Alvin.
Rock and
Toya.
Both of y'all said it correctly. In our homes, and this is one of the things I teach in marriage and family. We do try to emulate what we see. We all emulate what we seen in our household, good, bad, or worse, whatever it may be. When we get into our relationship, we tend to bring some of the baggage into our relationships,
right?
Without defining what our relationship is going to be. And like you said, it's like, but y'all decided that that's not going to be our picture. We're going to develop our frame as to what we want it to be. It doesn't have to be what your parents had. It doesn't have to be what your uncles and your aunts had. You know, again, back then, it was normalized. It was almost okay for Uncle Ray, Uncle Bob, Uncle and Jane, and all the rest of them you heard about them like, oh, she's sleeping with that one, and he's sleeping with that one, and that. But that doesn't define who y'all are. We have to make a conscious decision as to what our relationship is going to be. That's the only way that a marriage can make it, because when you make your own boundaries as to family, then you have a foundation. Without it, you don't have a foundation. You have it built on somebody else's foundation.
That's right.
And 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work.
But I think also, and even though I know the dating pool has pee in it, there's still some options that have not been contaminated by the pee. And that's where choice comes in, being selective and being realistic in your expectations. Because at least from my experience, and I don't know if Alvin can speak to this, but so many couples end up in therapy because they entered into the marriage or relationship with unrealistic expectations of this partner, who now they think you say I do, and all this other stuff is supposed to just fall away and totally change. And it just doesn't happen that way. It doesn't work like that. So hold on, what did she say? That part, sir. Okay, she was talking to Alvin. So yeah, the dating pool has pee in it, but there's some who haven't been contaminated by the pee. They might be few and far between, but I do believe that they are out there. Who did I lose?
I honestly, Val, even when I was single, I refused to swim in pissy water. I'd rather just get another pool or build my own pool. Again, a lot of times the things or the expectations that we want out of life, we create. But it's choices. Is you know what I'm saying? I always look. I was like, I want to be the best father, the best husband. Whatever that looked like to me. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't necessarily. Sometimes we want to pigeonhole, things that we've seen and grown up on, and it don't have to be that way. It don't.
It doesn't have to be that way. Yeah.
Standards.
So what about what do you think the effect on children and family dynamic is in non-traditional or non-monogamous relationships, whether it's polyamory or polygamy? How do you think children are impacted by that?
Well, I just want to speak on my children. It was very, very important to me to not bring around a whole bunch of men around my children like that. I didn't date many men after their dad. And if I did date someone, they haven't seen anyone. They probably only saw one other person briefly, but
he was a stalker.
Yeah, he was. That's a whole nother story. He was a stalker, but I wanted them to see this. This was very important because I want them, I don't want them to emulate us, but I want them to know that it is possible. Because right now, how dating is for our generation, I know I'm praying for their generation better, some way, somehow. I don't know how, but. I want them to know that it is possible, and I wanted them to see it firsthand here, because I didn't have that. So where I was like, I don't want that, I want them to say, you know what? I like that. I would like to have something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
I believe that's a great thing when you're.
She's listening.
when you have children, to not, like you said, share that when you're dating, when you're trying to see where you're going to be, to bring John in Monday and someone in Thursday, because again, go back to that word, confusion. It just throws a lot of confusion. So it's best to keep that part of your life, because that is your life, apart from children.
So a lot of times, a lot of people who are in these relationships do keep it from their children. They don't have, Lou would tell you they don't have their fun around their children. So eventually your kids do get older, but they gotta learn how to separate, the two.
Yeah.
But if you are Lou is in a polyamorous relationship, but what about if you are in a polygamous relationship and everybody is living in the same household and they're children by wife number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4?
Right.
But I'm wondering how the children feel.
So there's a structure. So then these kids are raised in this bubble, right? And they're taught. There's a guy. I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but he's a very popular speaker. He has like a bunch of tattoos all over his face. Very smart, smart young man. And he's very big on building and family and security and all these things. However, he has like 4 or 5 different women and they're all together. But when you see the structure of how he teaches his children about finance, money, relationship, all these different things, he emulates structure, right? Apparently, he's doing it in a way where he's teaching his children the way their life is supposed to be. I can't say
he wants their life to be.
Right. I can't say that for everybody, because I don't think everybody has the tools like this man does. But again, the worst thing you want your kids to do is come up in confusion. But everybody has their version, because you have some same-sex relationships who you have the 2 men, they decide to have a child, and they raise their child in the fact that they have a 2 same-sex household, and to them it's normal.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I believe to the children it's normal because that's how they grew up in it, and that's what they see. I think it would be a different story if they saw mom and dad together and then all of a sudden they switch the dynamic. But I think if they grew up that way, then that's just they think it's normal.
Yeah. I think they think it's normal until they get to school or they get older, and then they see this is kind of an anomaly based on how all of their friends live and how their families are structured. So in a way, they may see it as normal, but I think it could also kind of cause some questioning as they get older.
So it's interesting.
It does have an impact, though.
I literally just had this conversation with my bishop yesterday in regards to how kids today are learning to cultivate relationships in any type of fashion or any type of setting, right?
That's
so true. They're creating these things where they're stripping away the him, the her, the bathrooms, the way that we grew up and the way that we used to think is not the ways of today.
Right.
They are.
It's almost like
that goes back to what you stated earlier.
I was giving that. Oh, never mind.
Go ahead, Nicole.
No, but you know what? Hold on. Let me just say this, because Nicole, you're writing in the private chat.
Oh, okay.
So write in the comments. Write in the comments. If you write in the private chat, because Nicole said It's very confusing. Wow. She sees it every day in the emergency department. So speak to that, Nicole, what you wrote.
It's very confusing. They go to school, and this is not the norm for other people. And next thing you know, I spend most of my day taking care of crisis patients because they're going off the rails. This isn't normal. It's not what they say. God forbid they see other people on TV. It's very detrimental to the children. And there's not enough in the counties I work in, Philadelphia and Delaware County, there's not enough resources to support these children. And the parents are drilling. This is the way that, no, these kids don't understand that. And I see it every day. I mean, I take care of more crisis patients and mental health patients than I do car accidents. And I work right on I-95.
I don't know.
It's very detrimental to them. They have a hard time forming relationships because the other kids that don't have this kind of situation, they have a hard time relating to them. And it's rough on a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old. And so in some cases, they're in that boat when they have no one to talk to. And they sit in my ER for days at a time waiting for someone to talk to.
But if I could ask, is that crisis brought on because of those dynamics? Because let's face it, there's crisis for children in any kind of setting, whether it's man and woman, woman and man, all the other terminologies we use, there's going to be crisis. So I'm not going to say the crisis is born because it's 2 men or 2 women or whatever. It's crisis for children when the relationship is messed up regardless. Because in a relationship where you got 2 women, 2 men or whatever, as long as those kids feel loved, protected, and everything else, more than likely they should be all right. But of course, as they get older, they're going to start to question things because now they go outside of the home and they see something different, and they might look at that as being not normal, and our situation is normal.
But
Candy, just
relationships. A lot of times it's because the father has assaulted these mixed up relationships, these non-monogamous. I mean, they're monogamous relationships too. They see the fighting, and then the confusion and discord in the home, so they're not feeling the love, and then they start acting out. And the social work at school is bringing them in because they're having issues at school, or the kids are talking about them.
Start acting out.
Exactly.
But I think even if that child is witnessing abuse of any kind in their home, whether it's a monogamous relationship or whatever, I think they're going to be because they're impacted by the abuse. And my perspective,
I don't think it's about the dynamic,
of that relationship, whether it's monogamous, non-monogamous, man and woman, heterosexual, gay, LGBTQIA, whatever it might be. I think they're impacted more by that physical abuse than anything else. My sister Candy just wrote, she said someone she knows, he cohabitates with 2 women, has children by each of the 2 women. She said it's not for religious reasons. They say it works for them. They're in their 30s or 40s. What do we think about this? Well, that falls into that's a polyamorous relationship. Because if he's there and he has children by both of these women and they're all living together, then that is the epitome of a polyamorous relationship. And I think according to what you say, Candy, they say it's working for them. So
I think a lot of people forget that everything is not for everybody.
Not everybody.
And I'm very big on not pushing my idealisms onto other people because I believe they should accept them. Now, I in our household, we try to stay very Bible driven. That is our choice.
Right.
I don't push our beliefs onto other people. However y'all choose to live, that more to y'all, because I can't send you to heaven and I can't send you to hell.
Right. Yeah. So Miss Ollie just wrote that children have a lot of questions as they get older. They do. And how healthy they're going to be emotionally, how stable they're going to be, depends a great deal on how the adults answer those questions.
That's right.
These kids are asking these questions earlier because I love when parents say that we don't do it in front of them. They know what's going on. You knew what your parents was up to. Come on, we're not slow.
Oh, yeah.
What they were up to.
You do know.
Come on.
You know, these things are not uncommon now.
Yeah.
These things are not uncommon. You have kids. You have kids today telling their teachers, "I'm a squirrel," and today, if they choose to be a squirrel, the system says that they have to accept it. You know, these kids are a lot smart. We just had this conversation today.
We did.
These kids are a lot smarter as the years go by because of the systems that are in place. That, you know, you have babies essentially knowing how to work phones. I don't know what it's going to be like in the next 20 years. Baby, I said my nephew at literally, I think EJ was 6 months, and he knew how to scroll.
Scrolling a tablet.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't
So
believe
do
it.
we go back to monitoring what our kids watch? Because again, it's like everything that we see, cartoons.
It's very hard to monitor what your kids see. My approach is to have a conversation with them, talk with them about every and anything, because no matter how much I restrict their phone, there's a friend, there's a somebody whose phone is not restricted. What they see in school, what they see on the bus, what they see even outside. So it has to be a conversation.
They know how to unrestrict.
I agree.
They're too smart.
Right?
Smart.
And AI out there right now, that's a whole other topic.
A whole different animal.
I know. So before I get to the last question, I want to ask Jack if she has something she wants to share regarding anything we've been talking about so far.
No, I've listened to all of it. I agree with a lot of it. When you just spoke about though restricting the children, I have a friend who has a son, is 16, had a little girlfriend. They were sexually active. So you know what happened? She got pregnant. Were scared. Did not really tell their parents. They told a teacher. And you know what the teacher's recommendation was? Oh, well, all you got to do is take the baby to the firehouse.
Wow.
Not have a discussion with your parents. You know, have you talk to your parents. That was the first course of action that a teacher and both children had very open relationship with their parents, but they were scared. You know, they were afraid to say something. So we can restrict, thank God, monogrown, Jesus. We can restrict children to certain things, but once they are outside of our hearing and our view, everything that's coming in, it's a lot. And so there has to be constant communication. Constant every day. Remember when we were growing up, there was a real thing where we sat down to the table and we had dinner together. Right at the end of the day, there was a time where families came together and we talked. Because economy is the way it is. People are not families have a hard time doing that. And so for parents, there has to be an adjustment that's done in how to keep up with our kids. My children are grown, but I've got grandkids. So I listen to some of the stuff because I don't know what's going on. I don't understand. And so that's how I try and stay in touch so that I can help be a guiding light for my grandchildren along with their parents.
Okay. So I want to ask you guys, let's say you have a friend or family member, they're coming to you to talk to you to get some advice or whatever, because they and their partner are considering engaging in a polyamorous or polygamous relationship. What do you say to them?
I would just say, don't be persuaded into something you don't want to do or something that you don't agree with. just because you're looking for something and you can't find it right now, I would tell them to pray on it and just wait. Like, don't rush into anything, and just make sure this is something that you want. Not because it's popular, not because someone else is suggesting it to you, but it really has to be something that you wholeheartedly want to try to see if it works.
Yes. Yeah.
I would definitely ask, more than likely it probably come from a male friend. And I would probably ask him, are you okay with other men piping your wife?
And he would say it just like that.
Yeah. Hey, you gotta be real.
You keep it. You gotta
keep it a buck.
So, if you're okay with that, then you're probably going to be ready to have a conversation that results in you both, having your fun or whatever. And or you also got to be prepared to lose your relationship.
Yeah. Right. Anyone else? What would you say to your friend or family member who came to you? They were considering exploring a non-monogamous relationship. What do you say?
I guess I would ask him, are they ready for that? Just like Rock said, it's like, yo, I use this analogy. I just saw one of my friends, and one of the things he said, he just came, he was my neighbor across the street. He said, yo, Al, he's like, you like that big screen TV that you got, that 65 inch? I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. He's like, you like that 120-gallon fish tank you got? I was like, yeah. I'm like, bro, why are you asking me all these questions? And then he proceeded to say, he was like, what would it look like if you came home and you saw somebody else in your house watching your stuff? But when it comes down to additional relationships, it's like, are you really ready for that? Do you think that you can handle it? Can you trust that partner with all the diseases that's coming in and everything else? And, vice versa. That's a tough question. Yeah. You got to ask yourself that.
Yeah. Nick, Jackie, what would y'all say?
Yeah, are they ready? But the biggest thing, one of the things I always say, it's so hard for people to be honest with themselves about themselves. And so there has to be a lot of self-reflection. Can they really handle that? They have to have that conversation with themselves before they begin to have it with anybody else.
Nick, what would you say? Now, I don't think Nick can hear. Nick, can you hear? Oh, no, we can't hear her either. Yeah, I get it. But I would say the same thing. Is this something that you really want? And like Toya said, do you feel like you're being coerced into it? Are you doing it because you want to hold on to your partner? And I think some people won't know that they can't handle it until after they're in it. And then they realize, this is not what I thought it was going to be. I gotta get up out of here. I cannot handle this. And be okay with that. Be okay with walking away. Don't stay in it if it's not something that you don't really want to do. Once you have experimented and you realize, I don't want my man with somebody else. I don't want my woman with somebody else. I want to just be just the two of us. So yeah, that's how I would advise them. I don't know if Nicole got her audio back or not. Can you talk, Nicole? Can you hear us now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, I just had to go back out and come back in again. I was listening on Facebook though. You remember back in the day you had the TV with one sound and one with the picture? I was like, I can't believe I'm going
Yeah. But so what would you say to your friend Nick?
About entering these relationships?
Yeah.
Honestly, I would tell. I've never seen a successful one. I've seen people say they're happy, but there's a lot of infighting and backbiting because, of course, I work with one of the persons in it, and what they're saying at work and what they're saying, on the street that everything is okay is not what you see. You know how people gossip at work. You're like, but y'all make it seem like this is for you, but you're the most miserable person I've ever seen. So I couldn't do it myself. Because I know how I am. I like to be the only person, and it just seems like a lot of confusion, a lot of hurt people, and it's just a lot of emotions involved, and I haven't seen a successful one, and it seems like everybody's doing. It's like a free fall. I call it. It seems like everybody's a trisexual these days. They want to try every darn thing to see if they like it. And I just see a lot of miserable, confused people, and on the dating apps, they can't communicate. It's just a whole bunch of chaos. Everybody wants somebody. Everybody wants to be loved, but we don't communicate effectively. We don't want to seek out the tools to have successful relationships. We want to blame.
But that's key right there. What you said about what you said about communication, because these types of non-monogamous relationships require a lot of real, raw, open, honest, transparent communication. Because without that, there's going to be even more chaos than it ordinarily would be. So before we sign off, Alvin, you wanted to talk about something that you have coming up called the Man Cave, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead and talk about it. I'm going to see if I can bring it up. I'm gonna bring up what do you call that?
The flyer.
The flyer, yeah. But while I'm working on that, you go ahead and talk.
All right. I guess about 4 or 5 months ago, I was asked to do a men's breakfast to speak on a certain topic, and since it was a men's breakfast, I came up with what God gave me was Man Cave. Is a biblical perspective of mine. I've been doing Man Cave for a long time through Change Church, through Bethany Baptist Church, and even from St. Paul Baptist Church under Bishop David G.F. Earl Thompson, Bishop Earl Thompson, and so God showed me this one thing about 2 Samuel 16, I think it was, where David was on a run from Saul, and he went into a cave, and he was tired, he was worn down, and then you saw where the men came. They was money, broken, going through different things and everything. And David himself was wore out. So it was about men encouraging one another. So after I did the sermon, that it was a great impact on a lot of the brothers that was there, white, Hispanic, Black. And when I saw that response, I was like, wow, I have to do this from a mental health perspective. But the Man Cave that I wanted to do, it could not be just from a biblical standpoint. Right. It is something that one of me and my other minister brothers, we always talked about. We have to be real. Men have to be real with one another, as Rocky alluded to. Like, he's like, yo, you gotta hit them where in a lingo that they can understand. And so the Man Cave is basically about that. But when we talk, as I was talking about picturettes of family and stuff like that, men really don't have a true picturette as to how a man really supposed to be. We were defined one way, but in reality, it doesn't always happen that way. And we have suppressed our feelings, our emotions, vulnerability. We don't allow ourselves to feel vulnerable. We don't allow ourselves to trust. So how can we trust in a relationship? How can we be vulnerable in a relationship? Like, I'm from Philly, so I always keep my head on the swivel, and I had to like really learn how to be vulnerable in my relationship and how to be able to communicate what I really feel in my relationship and not feel like she's going to attack me because of the fact how I feel, and it's going to attack my manhood. So, Man Cave is basically going to be about identifying the what a real man is, showing that spiritually how we can be, the real world how we can be in a relationship, because we can be all those things and not lose our masculinity, and and still be true to form as to what God is telling us how to be, because he wants us to be more like him. And he wasn't a weak person, he was a strong person. But teaching men how to break all that down, that's what the Man Cave is going to be. It's going to be a 6-week, we're going to do it for about 6 weeks and see how it goes. Hopefully from there I'll break off into to the podcast and really just define what man's really roles are.
Okay. So somebody wants to join the Man Cave and participate. How do they do it?
We will be having a link, is because I was debating on having it just virtual, in person, but we decided to go ahead and make it virtual for other men, but make it exclusive just for men. Establish the ground rules. The cost will be $10 minimum fee. And we're gonna go from there.
Okay. So do you have
I will send you the link to what's it going to be, where it's going to be.
But in the meantime, are they able to call? Let's say you don't have the link yet, but can they call Mending Hearts and say they want to participate in Man Cave?
Yes, you can call Mending Hearts, and they will let you know what the link is going to be. They'll let you know the time and place. It will be on a Tuesday. We start in July 9th.
Okay, Man Cave. Be on the lookout for it. So listen, guys, I want to thank you for this conversation. It was riveting, as always. I love you all so much, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So this is going to be our last broadcast until September. I'm going to resume in September. So between now and the beginning of September, after Labor Day, I'm just going to be replaying on Sunday some of the past broadcasts. So be on the lookout for an email, because I have a lot of topics already in mind. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out an email to everybody. I'm going to list the topics that I have in mind. Some I already have a date for, some I don't. And you can let me know which ones you might want to participate in and come on and talk about. Oh, Dr. Nita said, let me write this down. Call the office let me backtrack. For the Man Cave, the link's not available yet, but you can call Mending Heart's office at 609-499-0165. 609-499-0165. That's our office. You think I would know it by heart, but I don't. That's what cell phones do for you. Thanks, Dr. Danita, because I sure enough
shout out.
We know the number.
Right.
So, anywho, I love you all. I appreciate you, and be on the lookout for that email. Good night, y'all.
All right. God bless.
Good night.
Good night.